In the previous video, we worked on setting up the bottom tabs that we have over here. Now in this video, we'll work on the data for the application. By data, I mean all the data that we'll need to display the content of our application. So we'll prepare the images for the product and then create data objects for each of them. And then we'll set up a function which will enable us to filter the product. So we'll filter the product by deals and also the popular ones, and also we'll enable search on the data. Usually this is something that will be done on the back end, but because you are working on the front end in this series, we'll set up something like this on the front end, which will enable us to develop the app and display the product. Now the majority of our work will reside in the data file under config. So we'll visit this file here, and then at the top, we'll create a new array for our data. So this will be exported as well, and we'll call it wine data. Now in this array, we'll have an object for each of the products. Now this is the format. Each item will have an ID, followed by a name, and then it will have an origin. Our first one will be from California. Also to have a price and also a currency. In addition, we'll have the alcohol percentage and then the volume, just 750, and then the year. To also have a description. For the description, we can copy the summary of our onboarding data here, paste it, and then add a little more, like so. After this, we'll have the quantity available. And whether it's popular. Also, we'll add whether it's a deal. Then finally, we'll add an image. Now for the images, to achieve the look that we are going for in the app, all the images must come without a background. That is, it should have a transparent background. So the image will just be the bottle without a background. I have a few of the original images here, and I'll run you through the process of how I got them to be without the background. So over here, I have some of the images I used in the app, and we can see that once it's open, it has a background. So this is the background that we are trying to get rid of. So in my browser, I search for image background remover, and then I use the very first one here, remove.pg. Now over here, we are required to upload an image or drop the file. So over here, I'll bring up my Window Explorer. And then I'll drop the image we are trying to get rid of the background. So this will go through the process and prepare the image for us. Once it's done, you can download the image over here. Just like so. Then if you open it, you see that now the background is gone. So the image is in the form that we want to use in our app. So this is how I prepared all the images that I have in this directory, and then they are ready for the app. I'll put a link in the description for all that we are working on today. So once we have our images prepared like so, we need to create a new directory in our assets directory. So over here, we go to our assets, and then we create a new directory, and we'll call this wine. Now we select all our images and drag them into this directory. Like so. Now for the very first one, we'll change the image here to require. And then we'll pass the link as we go back a directory, and then assets, and then wine, and then one.png. Now I've already prepared the data object for all these 12 images. So I'll copy the remaining and just paste it here to speed things up. So now we have all of this. We have from 1 to the last one, which has an ID of 12. Yeah, like so. Now at this point, we'll create the function that will return the data for us and enable us to filter it. So at the top, we'll create a new function which we'll call get wine data. We also ensure to export this function. Now, first of all, with all things being equal, we'll just return the wine data in this function. Now, this is the case where we want to filter the data based on some provided parameters. So meaning we'll be making use of a filter function. So this filter function will determine what we are supposed to return. So in the situation where we want to return all the data that we have, that is all the products, we need a simple filter function. So this filter function will have access to all the products, that is the wine, and just go ahead to return it. So this function will access each of the objects in this wine data and then just go ahead to return it without doing any filtering. So in that case, we'll pass it to wine data.filter. Then we'll pass the filter function like so. So this will be the situation where we don't want to do any filtering. We'll return all the data that we have in this array. Now, because of the other conditions, we'll wrap this in an if statement. So the next condition we'll be tackling is if we are provided with an ID, that is a wine ID. So if a wine ID is provided, we'll have a different filter function. Otherwise, we'll fall back to this one. So wrap it in the else block like so. Now this wine ID will be coming from the properties. So the structure it in an object. So now if you are given a wine ID, you have to check for the wines that has the same ID as the one that we received. So over here, the filter function will have access to the wine as usual. But in this situation, we are returning the wine where wine.id the same as the wine ID that we received. The next situation is when we are requesting for only the popular items. So in that case, we receive the popular property. And that will come after the wine ID. So over here, we check if popular is received. So in that case, we'll do something very similar to this filter function. So we'll copy and paste it here. Now what we'll do here is that we'll check if wine.popular is true. So this will return the popular items. Now we'll also check if the item is currently a due. In that case, we'll copy and paste this as it will be very similar. You have to ensure that we bring the else here as well, so that it continues from the wine ID. So we'll copy the else if again, and then we paste it. So in this case, we are checking for the due. And for that to be true, wine.due will have to be true. With the work we've done so far, we've handled for when we have the dues and also the popular ones. Now we want to handle when we have a search item. That is when the user enters something into the search box. We need to filter the data that comes back as well. So over here, we'll be checking for a search term. For the search term, let's copy and paste the else if again. So now we'll change the due here to search term. Also, it looks like we forgot to add the due, so let's add it like so. Now for the search term, we'll be working with two properties. We'll work with the name of the product and also the description. So over here, we're going to check whether the term that is provided can be found in the name or can be found in the description. So over here, our filter function will be wine.name.includes the search term, or we'll check if the description includes that. So we can copy and paste this. And then instead of name, we'll put description. Now the last condition we'll be providing is that if you look at the images here, if you click on view or under the popular section, the page that will be open also has a search bar. So meaning that situation will be searching within the popular products and not all our collection. So we need to handle that situation as well. So over here, because it's a very specific condition, we'll handle it just below the wine ID. So we can copy the else if here and then paste it. And in this situation, we will check if we have popular and then we also have a search term. Now in this situation, we'll first do what we did for the search term over here. So we can copy all this and then paste it here. So first of all, we'll check whether the name includes a search term or whether the description includes a search term. And after all this, we have to ensure that it's also popular. So wine.popular must be true. Like so. So this is the last condition that we have. Now to quickly test whether this is working, let's go to our home page. So over here on the home page, we import get wine data. And over here, let's copy and paste the style text. And then we call get wine data. And then wrap this in the curly braces. To ensure that this will work, you have to pass an empty curly braces like so. Now we can check the length of the data that is returned. And we see that the value is 12. That is all the data that we have in our wine data array. Now if we pass a condition like let's say popular, in this case the popular is only 5. And if we pass the deal is just 3. Now let's check if we can pass the search. So let's say we are searching for the Felix one. So over here, we'll pass a search term. And then the value is Felix. And we see that it's just 1. So now let's search for the one that is a deal or is popular. So we see that the Felix is currently a deal. So if we say we want Felix and then it has to be popular, we see that we get 0. So that's not possible because the Felix one is not popular. Now at this point, the function is working as it should, and also the data is ready to be built on in the next part. I'll link to what we've done here in the description below so you can check it out.